O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Please be seated. I tell you, not one stone will be left here upon another. All will be thrown down. Is Jesus like having a bad day? Everybody's going to die. The buildings are going to be ruined. Not quite the passage that I originally thought would be appropriate for stewardship season on a Sunday of ingathering, but there is still good news. As the leaves fall from the trees and the earth grows brown and bare, the church contemplates endings as well. We're coming to the end of a church year or end of a liturgical year, and some of us may be facing end-of-life concerns for loved ones or ourselves. And today we have this apocalyptic reading from Daniel and the Gospel of Mark with the end of the world, which actually leads us back to the first Sunday of Advent back in December last year. We opened with Mark 13. The very idea that there will be an end is threatening to those of us who have pretty good lives and good plans for the future. For those of us who experience life as a roller coaster, however, filled with ups and downs, and maybe those who experience life as mostly downs, maybe the idea of an end of it all may be comforting. But nevertheless, endings are not all gloomy. They actually are not even the end. But what if we were to prepare for our own ending? What would that look like? What if you knew you had very little time left in your life? Would you finish up important matters at work? Would you travel to a place you've always wanted to go, or go back to a place you wanted to return? Would you pray more? Would you come back to St. James more? Do that generous act you always wanted to do for others? Would you find a way to leave a mark on the world? Or would you spend time trying to reconcile a broken relationship? If you answered yes to any one of those possibilities, we indicate that perhaps in end times, we will be better stewards of the things God has given us in this life, better than we are now. In the intensity of these last days, we would live better, some of us, be better. We would be more generous, more focused on the things that are important. I know one of the things I ask myself, and I'm terrible, but why do I need an ending or a deadline or something to threaten me to get my act together, to organize myself, and to be better steward of my time and resources? And what about as a congregation? How does the church face an ending? Unfortunately, a number of our churches and our dioceses are facing this question. We'd have to focus and get our priorities straight, no matter how much time we have left. What would we support? What will our final legacy be? I think that's a question for all of us. What will our legacy be? We have to remember that God exists outside of time. There's no beginning, middle, and end with God. And we have to see that as God's perspective. There's a bigger picture. We're not just in some moment in time, we're part of the whole picture. Therefore, Jesus calls us to do both, to live with the intensity of last days while living our regular lives into the future. I think we approached this on Holy Week and mentioned live as if you die tomorrow, love as if you live forever. I think Jesus invites us to that type of dance. He reminds us that we are not ultimately invested in this world, and he liberates us to work with courage, to work with hope. As we imagine building a structure, building a future, what are the stones that have to go? Jesus had it with those stones. He was tired of them. I think there are too many buildings that still have stones of racism in place, still have stones of sexism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism. Why can't we get rid of those stones and build something new? Jesus was angry with the temple for not serving the people it was meant to serve. Amen. Gentiles, the outsiders, were supposed to be welcomed. Women were supposed to have equal footing, equal standing. Widows were supposed to be served, not put in their last 2 mites. What are the stones that need to be torn down to move our mission forward? As I said, endings are not necessarily bad news. Some of this has to go. And besides, for people of God, for people of faith, we know that the ending marks the beginning of something brand new. There's something about life and our faith where exits become entrances. When God closes one door, another one opens, my godmother used to say. When we come to God in faith, we usually have to let go of something. When we hold on to God, who never lets go of us, we have to let go of previous conceived notions, whatever we were trying to hold on to before. And after this somewhat gloomy description of the end, Jesus saves the best news of all. This is but the beginning of birth pangs. Good things are happening, St. James. Can't you see it? Can you feel it? God has placed within us a deep-seated need to create something new, improved, that will transcend the finiteness of our lives. We can see it already. We can see beyond. This powerful architecture opens the door to imagine something even newer. But sometimes our expectations and our perspectives need a little adjusting. Sometimes endings make us see scarcity instead of promise. There's a story I heard a Baptist preacher mention many years ago. I've been waiting to use this story. There was a shoe salesman who was sent to this village. The shoe store was trying to branch their market out, and they sent this shoe salesman. They said, "This is the place to be." He lands there, looks around, and he's like, "Man," he calls central office, "send me another plane and get me out of here. Nobody in this town wears any shoes at all. Come and get me." So they came and got him. They sent a second salesman, and he called central office and said, "Send me another plane and fill it up with shoes. Nobody here wears any shoes. I'm gonna need a little more time." Endings make us see scarcity. Jesus promised us abundance. God is birthing something new in us, St. James. I believe we have the shoes needed to help people with their walk with Christ, to help people with good footing, to be able to stand. God is tearing down structures, those stones that need to go, get rid of them, and rebuild something with new stones. And we are all invited to participate in this building. This isn't to say that it's going to be easy and that hardships and suffering won't befall us. I'm not talking about an easy optimism promising things will get better. Ooh, child, things are going to be easier. Not necessarily. They may or may not. It is a promise, though, that God is always in charge. I am excited about what's going on at the cathedral and this day of ingathering. God is bringing something to be born in each of us. And as midwives over the centuries have helped new mothers, it is time for us to take a deep breath and push through. Something is being born. This is the time of ingathering and committing ourselves to this birth, this new vision. And I don't think we should ask, well, what am I going to get out of it? I think our question should be, how can I use the gifts that God has given me to build this new reality? How can I use what God has given me to help my neighbor? As we bring our pledges and gifts on this day of ingathering, supporting our church, I think I do know what we're going to get out of it. A newborn. And a newborn always fills us all with joy.